Hi guys, many thanks. First of all, thank you so much for being right here, and thanks to such an amazing platform like Bonga that gives young people like me and many others out there chance and an opportunity to share their stories about how they're feeling and how they're going through life, and exactly, especially importantly, when it comes to matters mental health. When it comes to me, where was I born, where I'm from? So I had no idea that I was born at Pumwani right here in Nairobi. My birth certificate says I was born in Bungoma, but thanks to God, after meeting my biological mom, there was so many mysteries in between. The way you just find yourself existing and you have no idea that, I came from a woman. I'm that kind of a guy. So apparently when I met my biological mom, which is a blessing, like for many years, I longed to actually like see the person who carried me for 9 months. That's when she gave me a whole shocking story. How I was born right here at Pumwani Hospital in Nairobi. She went from, schooling at Gigiri, Pumwani Hospital, and now living Nairobi to Western Kenya.
I want to know actually what happened on the 3rd of March, 2019.
I'm still stunned till today. It's such a breathtaking and a traumatizing, horrific story. I can go on and on to describe it, but that's when I lost my dad. Rest in peace. My dad was working for a government parastatal. He was the MD of Nzoa Sugar Company. It's a government parastatal that's trying to be reinstated right now by the government. And of course, father, son, dad was all about work, and he was a very committed man. He was a believer of God, a believer of Christ, and that father figure person that everybody looked up to in the family. So when that event happened, personally on my side, I was busy. That's the time that I had literally like immersed myself into my journalism profession. That was the time I think I had gotten my second radio gig, and I was on the morning breakfast. So I was busy with my radio schedule, trying to balance between school and, working. So it was, I think should have been on Wednesday, Wednesday towards Thursday morning. I received, waking up towards the following day, I received like around 10 missed calls from different members of my family. And I was shocked to literally wake up and see like there's people who calling me that had never called me. So it's like, hey, Kwani, what has happened? And then like around 15 minutes into it, I received a call from one of my aunts, and she told me, hey, Brian, your dad was at work yesterday and she has not come home yet. And we have no idea where she is. He is, sorry. So for me, that time, I was confused. I didn't know what to do. And I decided to just chill. Perhaps dad was somewhere with his friends, and he would make a call. So just scrolling through my phone, all of a sudden I'm sent, a friend sent me a link, an editor at a certain station sent me a link, and it was all about my dad, who is now missing. He's been found unconscious under a bridge, severely wounded. He can't even talk, can't stand, can't speak. So and it went on from like, being just a story to now being a story that was in the news headlines for 2 months. So it was really horrible. It affected us as a family, especially me, especially when it comes to, being the firstborn of the family. Everybody else is looking up to you. And this time is when I just gotten a radio job. I'm trying to even, work and prove to my dad that, the investment that he made in my education is trying to pay off. So that's what happened. And then it went on from, dad being admitted in hospital in the ICU to now him, passing on.
And how did you process the loss?
I think that's the time for the first time, I started, going through a place mentally where I didn't know that I'll ever be, or I'll ever reach, and I call it rock bottom, because, dad was a father figure. Everybody else in our family, in our community, and in our county government, especially in the rural area, were looking up to him in terms of financial support. He was supporting churches, he was paying school fees. Like, my dad was everybody's dad. So when that happened, I think the first thing I did was I disconnected from everyone. And that loss came with a certain feeling of like, shame, embarrassment. And then there was that fear of, how am I going to get out of here? It was so dark to a point, I felt like God didn't like me. God hated me, and maybe perhaps that was a punishment to me, and maybe I deserved that. So the question that I constantly asked, I used to ask myself always was, maybe Dad is gonna wake up, because I remember when we were with him in a hospital like 2 nights before he passed on. Not even in hospital. At that time, he had already been discharged, so he was receiving treatment from home, physiotherapy, because of the wounds that were inflicted on him. And we had a conversation, and he was asking if I'm comfortable with the radio gig I had and everything. So he had shown signs that he's not going to die. Kumba, you know, sometimes when somebody is about to die, it's like they ask things that maybe will happen in future, or maybe they're telling you a story that's like a goodbye. So that actually, I was using that story to believe that probably he'll wake up. So until now, I viewed his body at Lee Funeral Home, and he was lying there lifeless on that metallic table. That's when it hit me that, you know, Dad is gone. And then I started, I think at some point I started to drink something. It was so difficult for me to stay sober. And then came with the pressure of being on radio. I'm still so young, you know, I'm trying to support myself. And then I also expected that, you know, I'll receive a lot of support from maybe Dad's friends, and maybe some just part of the family members. So it was crazy. So many things fell apart, so many missing links. But then after going through a very severe period of denial, you know, questioning a lot and being so angry and mad at myself, I think I finally came to an agreement and told myself that, you know, it is what it is. And, you know, carrying that sadness for a very long time, and especially if you're in media and you're on radio and you have to come every day, be happy and make people laugh, because that's what we do on radio. Those two things, they couldn't go together. So I had to resign from the radio job to just go, like I disconnected. I even changed my number. I disconnected from friends. I hated walking outside without, you know, my shades on, because it came with a feeling of, you know, shame. You know, everybody was now telling me, sorry, I didn't know that was your dad, and etc. And I had never been used to that kind of a life where people are so sorry for you, to a point you feel like, you know, the whole world is tumbling down on you and you'll never recover. So what I did again is I tried to find some coping mechanisms that included, you know, going to church, reading the Bible. There's one of my teachers, shout out to her, she's Madam Muhati, who gave me a call and she asked me, I've not seen you in a very long time. Where did you go to? And I was like, at this point, I don't know where I am. So she advised me, she sent me some 2-3 things that I did that then, and then I started recovering. So I think that's when I began my journey of healing, that I call the journey of recovery and discovery healing, where you first of all you must feel the pain. After you feel the pain, you have to deal with the pain, and then then lastly you heal it. So you feel, deal, and heal. That's when I began that journey.
And why is it important for families, especially African families, to talk about mental health awareness?
We come from communities, especially us black people, and now to narrow it down in Africa, where, you know, initially mental health was not a big conversation. It was believed to be a topic, or maybe a conversation that should be talked about in urban areas. But then when you look at the generations that have been our dads or grandfathers, they never had that chance to actually share how they felt. But I feel like in the modern day world, especially where, you know, there's high rates of suicides, you know, relationships are failing, there's a lot of divorces happening in left, right, and center, like constantly. So I feel like, especially in this day and age, it's important for us to always have a conversation with our loved ones. It's always good to express yourself, like finding a way to express yourself and how you feel. What are the things that you've been through? First of all, the question is, how are you feeling and what's going on with you? I think those are some of the most important questions that we should be asking, because that will help us identify some of the problems we are going through. There's people out here who maybe they're not, I'll say maybe they're not conversational, or they're not chatty and gabby, for lack of a better word. They don't like talking. But then if you ever had an opportunity to sit down with them and chat with them, you realize they have dealt with a lot of things. And I think it's so important, especially when it comes to expressing your emotions about how you feel and what you're going through. That will help us to even connect And you know, when people connect, they become a community. And when they become a community, they share things. So I feel that's the power of us talking about mental health, so that we heal from depression, anxiety, loss.
And have you healed?
Yes, absolutely. I'd say I've healed, like I'd say I'm half healed, because there are days when everything just comes back. I remember before I got the TV gig that I have right now, I was training to be a radio presenter somewhere else, and there was this time that, you know, I was told that in this presenter link, you have to be the funniest guy. And then that's the time I was in that season where everything that had happened in my past is like it had ni kama ilikuwa imerudi afresh. So I have to act like I'm okay. I have to act like I'm very strong and things are fantastic, but it was not. So I'd say I'm half healed. I have bad days. There are days when, you know, you feel like you don't want to talk to anyone, and especially when you're in media. There's usually a certain feeling of, you know, resentment. You know, you're just tired, and you need a break, but maybe you're not getting that break. Yeah, so I'll say I'm half healed. That there's good days and bad days. There's those days you feel like, oh no. I don't want to talk. I don't want to say anything. Just let me be. Leave me alone. Yeah, so I'd say I'm half healed. But like I said, I'm on that journey of self-recovery, healing, and discovery. Yeah.